Hi there, Mr. Sutton here with the IM381 Part 2 homework solutions on mean, median, and mode. For this problem, we're trying to find mean, median, and mode for a dot plot. Let's start with the mean, and this actually requires the most work out of all these. So for this, we're going to add up the actual numbers and divide by the number of items, the number of dots. Let's count the number of dots, and then we'll talk about adding all that other stuff together. So let's see, we've got 2, 4, there's another 4, so that's 8. There's another 8 for giving me 12, 16 altogether. So our mean is going to be something divided by 16. Now let's write out the actual numbers since all they've given us are dots. So we have 25 for that leftmost dot, and then 26. This one is 29. We've got a 30. And then no need to write this 4 times. This is just going to be 4 times 31. You don't have to write 4 31s. We've got 2 times 32. Then we have a 33 plus a 34 plus a 36 plus a 38 plus 2 of these 41s. And we're going to do all of that on the calculator now. Let me just add up the numerator first, though. So adding up all that stuff in the numerator, that is 521. So our mean is then going to be 521 divided by 16, which going back to the calculator and actually dividing that by 16 gives me, we'll say 32.56 if I round that off. Now for the median, I have to get the middle number out of all of these. So the nice thing is that these are actually already kind of in order, sorted out. So I'm just going to start at the left and the right ends and start crossing off dots till I get to a middle number or numbers. And since I have an even number of items, it's actually going to be 2 numbers I get to. So I've got the 25 in one of these 41s, and then we've got a 26 and the other 41, and then we have, let's see, the 29 and the 38, the 30 and the 36, and we've got 31 and 34, another 31 and a 33, and then finally we have a 31 and one of these 32s. So what's left over then, we've got a 31 and a 32, so we're going to have to actually average them together to get the median. And if I do that, I'm basically going to get a number that's halfway between these, which is going to be 31.5. So that's our median. Half the numbers are smaller than that, half the numbers are larger than that. Now for the mode, that's the number that appears the most. That's easy to pick out on a dot plot. That's just the one with the most dots, which in this case it looks like that's going to be 31. For this dot plot, which is Academy Awards won by a movie, we want to find the mean, median, and mode. So for the mean, we need to divide the total number of items, a total number, sum of the data, which is just the total number of awards awarded, and divide that by the total number of data items, which I guess each of these dots represents a movie. So let's go ahead and figure out how many dots there are first off. That's our total number of items. We've got 1. This gives us 3, 7, 9, plus another 5 is 14, 15, 16. So we're dividing the number of Academy Awards by 16 movies. Okay, well, let's add up the total number of awards. So we've got 1 of these 1s here, and now we've got 2 of these 3. So I'll just write plus 3 times 2, or 2 times 3, either way. And we've got 4 of these 4s, so 4 times 4, and 2 of these 5s. And then, let's see, 5 of these 6s. And then finally, we have a plus 7 and a plus 8. So let's add all that up. And I'll do that on the calculator just to be on the safe side. So for my numerator, I've got 78. So our mean is going to be 78 over 16, which if I actually go ahead and divide that on the calculator, comes out to about 4.88. All right, so for these movies, that was the average or mean number of awards won. Now let's go ahead and find the median. So let's see, for this one we have to basically write all these in order and pick the middle value, but since it's a dot plot, they're already in order. So we're just going to cross off dots from the left and the right until we get to the middle dot, and that will be the median. So let's see, we've got the 1 and the 8 that we can cross off, and then one of these 3s and the 7, the other 3 and one of these 6s. We've got a 4 and another 6. Another 4, another 6, another 4, another 6, and this last 4 and this last 6 are gone. So that leaves us with 2 dots in the middle. So rather than try to pick one, we always average them together in that case. But if you're just doing 5 plus 5 over 2, well, that just comes out to 5. So the median is going to be 5. And now for the mode, that's going to be the most frequently claimed category here. That's going to be whichever one of these has the most dots. And it looks like 6 has more dots than any other. That's 5 dots for 6. So 6 is our mode. For this problem, I'm trying to find mean, median, and mode for this dot plot. So to get the mean on the dot plot, I need to know what all of the items add up to, and then I need to divide that by the number of items. Let's start with the number of items first. I think that'll be easier to find. So just counting up the dots here, we have 4 in that first column, plus another 8 brings me up to 12, plus another 3 brings me up to 15, and then we have 16 and 17. So we're dividing by 17. Now we have to add all the data items together. So each of these dots represents the number down here. So we have 4 of these 1s, so I'll just write 4 times 1, although I could, I guess, just write 4. And then we have, let's see here, 8 of these 2s, so I'll do plus 8 times 2, or 2 times 8. And then we have 3 of these 3s, so that's plus 3 times 3. We only have a single 4 and a single 5. Let me add all this up on the calculator. Actually, I don't really need the calculator. We've got a 4 plus a 16 is 20, plus a 9 is 29, plus, let's see, 4 is 33, plus 5 is going to be 38. So 38 divided by 17. Now I need the calculator. So dividing 38 by 17 to the nearest hundredth, that's going to be 2.24. So there's our mean. For the median, we have to basically write the numbers in order and then cross off the outer numbers till we get to the middle. Now, because these dots are all basically in order, because they're on a number line which is already pre-ordered, we can just cross off dots. So I've got this first one here and the 5, another of these 1s and the 4, another of these 1s and one of these 3s. I'll start at the top here. And then we've got another one of these 1s and another 3. Now we move on to the 2s coming from the left side. So we have a 2 and this last 3. And then we have a 2 here and a 2 at the other end, another pair of 2s, another pair of 2s getting crossed off. And, big surprise here, a 2 is the only thing remaining, so that's going to be our median. For the mode, that's whatever appears the most, and that is also going to be 2 because 2 has more dots than anything else, so mode equals 2. For this one, we have a frequency table, and we want the mean, median, and mode of the data. For the mean, that's the total sum of all the data divided by the number of items. So just looking at this in real-life terms, we're asking for all of these sizes added together divided by the total number of shoes. But we have to be careful because this frequency table is telling us that there's more than one shoe of some of these sizes. So we can't just add a single 5.5. We have to add 2 of these 5.5s. So the total number of inches, I guess you could say. But before we figure out the total number of inches of shoe size that we're dealing with, let's take a look at just the total number of shoes, the total frequency. So we're going to add everything in this frequency column together. That's going to give us the denominator when we set up our fraction for the mean. So we have a 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. That's how many shoes we have. That's the total number of data items. And we'll figure out what that is exactly in just a moment. We're just doing the setup right now. Now for the total number, the total sum of all the data, the total sum of inches here, we've got 2 of these 5.5, so I'll write 2 times 5.5 instead of writing it twice. Then we have 3 of these size 7s, so that's 3 times 7 inches. Then we only have 1 of these 7.5s. We have 4 of these 8s, so 8 times 4. We have 2 of these 8.5, so 2 times 8.5, or vice versa. We've only got a single 9, so we just write it once, and we have a 9.5 that we're adding, and another 10.5 inches being added to the total. Let's go ahead now and actually do the calculator to figure out what the numerator and denominator are. So for my numerator, I've got, let's see here, 117.5. And for the denominator, let me add all of those. So 2 plus 3 plus 1 plus 4 plus 2 plus, I know those 3 1s are a 3. That's 15. So 117.5 over 15, which, according to the calculator, 117.5 divided by 15 is approximately 7.83 if I round to the nearest hundredth. Great. Now we need to find the median. That's the middle item if I were to take all these shoes and sort them in order from smallest to largest. Now the good news is that's already kind of done for us in the frequency table, right? We've got two of these 5.5s next to each other, followed by three of these size 7s, followed by a size 7.5, and so on and so forth. So really you just need to know the index number of the middle shoe and know which of these regions it falls in. So to get that, we just take the number of items, which is 15 in this case, add 1 and divide by 2, and that always gives us the index of the middle number. So 15 plus 1 over 2 tells us that our median is going to be shoe number 8. Okay, so we just need to figure out where shoe number 8 falls. So let's just add up the number of shoes as we go down this frequency table. So after these first two 5.5s, we've got 2 shoes. I mean, makes sense, right? But then we add another 3 of these size 7s. Now we're up to 5 shoes. After this one here, we're up to 6 shoes. And after these 4 size 8s, now we've gotten to 10 shoes. So we were looking for shoe number 8. That's going to fall in this region between where we had 6 shoes and 10 shoes. And we picked up that 8th shoe when we were adding up these size 8s. So ironically, shoe number 8 is size number 8 as well. They just happen to be the same number. So the median here is 8 because of this number right here, not because of this other number, at least not directly. Now for the mode, the item that appears the most, that's the one with the highest frequency. So taking a look at this frequency column, 4 is the highest number, and that corresponds with a shoe size of 8. So 8 is also the mode. For this problem, we have this table telling us the number of Academy Awards won by a movie, or at least how often that happened, and it's a frequency table. So, for example, there were 2 movies that each won 3 awards apiece, and apparently there were 3 movies that each won 4 awards apiece, and so on and so forth. So using this, we want the mean, median, and mode of awards, number of awards won by various movies. So for the mean, the average number of awards won by each of the movies that were considered in this survey, we need to take the total sum of the data and divide it by the number of data items. So basically, we have to add up all of the awards that were ever won by all these movies and divide it by the number of movies. So to do that, let's start with the number of data items, which we can find by just adding up the frequency column here. So there were 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 1 plus 2 plus 1 plus 2 movies. So that's what we're going to divide by once we figure out how many total awards there were. Now, to figure out the number of awards there were, we're going to use the frequency and the number of awards column. Since there were 2 movies that each won 3 awards, we've got a 2 times 3, or 3 times 2 that we're throwing in there. And there were 3 movies that each won 4 awards. So that's 4 times 3. We'll add that in there. We've also got a 5 times 5. And this is just a single 6 here. 7 times 2. We have a single 8. And then we have 2 movies winning 8 or 11 awards each. So that's 11 times 2. All right, let's add up all this stuff on the calculator now. So for my numerator, adding all that stuff together, that comes out to 93. Great. And for the denominator, I could probably do this without a calculator. Let's see, 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 5 is 10, plus this is another 6 over here, so 16. We actually have to use the calculator for this next part, though. 93 divided by 16. I mean, unless you can do that in your head. Good job if you can. That comes out to about 5.81. So that's the average number of awards won by these movies. Cool. Well, let's find the median. So for that, we have to find the middle number of awards won. If we were to take all these awards and write them in order, so like 3, 3, 4, 4, 4, 5, 5, 5, and so on and so forth. But there's a lot of them, so that's going to be kind of a pain. To do this quickly, it's easier, since these are already basically in order, to just find the median index number. So taking a look at the 16 here, we just have to add 1 to the number of items and divide by 2, and that'll tell us the index number of the middle item if we were to write all of these in order. So 16 plus 1 over 2, that means our median is happening at item number 8.5, which seems kind of weird, but we'll see where that falls once we start going through our frequency list. So I'm going to go through my frequencies now and just figure out how many movies how many movies I've totaled as I go. So after these first two movies, I've got 2 movies. That makes sense. After these next 3 movies that each got 4 awards, well, now I've got 5 movies kind of stacked next to each other. But number 8.5 still not found yet. So now I have these 5 movies that each had 5 awards. And once I've stacked those up, well, now I've acquired 10 movies. Item number 8.5 must have happened somewhere in here. So that means while I was, putting together these 5 award movies, that's when I hit item number 8.5. So that means that the median is going to be 5, because that's where the middle number fell as I was adding up this frequency list. So now for the mode, that's the one that appears the most. And that's easier to tell on a frequency table, just whoever has the highest frequency, which in this case is 5. For this one, we're finding mean, median, and mode for a frequency table. Let's start with the mean. That's going to be the value of all the items divided by the number of items. So let me talk first about the number of items. That's what you get when you just add up all these frequencies, because this is how many each of these different items appears. So we're going to have the mean being something divided by, and now the number of items is going to be 1 plus 6 plus 5 plus 2 plus 1 plus 1. Whatever that comes out to, we'll do it on the calculator in a moment. And let's also set up the numerator that we're going to calculate for the mean. So we've got one of these one-word dealies, so that's just once. And then for these 2s, we've got 6 of those. We have a 2 times a 6 there. For these 3-worders, we've got 5 of those, so 3 times 5 for a total of 15 words there. And then we've got a 4 times a 2 for the next one, and we just have, each of these appears once, so we can just write 5 and 6. All right, let's figure out what we have in the numerator and the denominator. So for the numerator, it looks like if I plug all that stuff in, I've got 47. And now for the denominator, plug in that stuff in, that's going to come out to 16. So that's a total of 47 over 16. And going back to the calculator, 47 divided by 16 gives me approximately 2.94 if I round to the nearest hundredth. Okay, so the book titles, there's an average of 2.94 words in the title. Now for the median, this one's a little bit trickier. I have to first find kind of the index of the middle item, and then I can use that to look at my frequency list and see where it should fall. So the middle item is always going to be 1 plus the number of items divided by 2. So in this case, that's going to be 16 plus 1 divided by 2. The median is going to be at item number 8.1, apparently, or 8.5 rather. So we have to find the 8.5th word here and see where that falls. So let's start adding up our frequencies here to see where item number 8.5 falls. Now the good news is these are all basically sorted out, so we don't have to line them up or write them out. We can just basically use this numerical value here, the frequency, to figure out where this falls. So after that first word, we're up to 1 word. After the next 6 of these 2s, we're up to 7 words. So this one concludes with item number 7. And after we throw in 5 more of these 3 words, then we end up with 12. So up to this point, we've listed out 12 of these data items. Now, item number 8.5 is going to fall somewhere between 7 and 12. So somewhere in here. That means our median value is going to be this one right here, which is 3 words. And now for the mode, that's the one that appears the most. That's just the one with the highest frequency. Just looking at our frequencies, we have a 6, and that's higher than anything else. And the item with a 6 for a frequency is the number 2. So that is our mode.